What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to another episode of my pathetic life as a homeowner. In this episode, I'm going to be getting rid of all of this carpet, putting in some hardwood. And if you want to get technical, it's engineered hardwood. But more specifically, I'm not going to be showing you how to put the hardwood in, because if you don't know how to do that, man, you shouldn't be doing it yourself. So more specifically, I'm going to focus on the transition between tile and carpet. I got a shitload of transition here between the tile and carpet and dog, to the point where I don't want to put that shitty trim in that makes it easy. So I'm going to be using grout, and if you see here, this is an example of what I did. We're going to go from hardwood to tile and put a little bit of layer of grout in the middle, and it makes for an awesome transition. It looks sharp, and this is how I do it. So let's go from there. Alright, boys and girls, it's the next day. Took a break, had to get some beer in me, but the floor is done. So now we're at the most important part, and what you gotta do here is see what your tile measurement is as far as height goes, and you gotta work with that. And what I mean by that is, for example, we're at roughly 10 millimeters, no, sorry. We're at roughly 10 millimeters. Yes, I'm using the metric system in this case because it's a lot easier than the bullshit inch system right now. So hate on me all you want, but it is what it is. So we're 10 millimeters from the floor to the top of the tile. So what that means is you guys got to compensate for your underlay and the width of your flooring. You want to try to pick something that's going to get very close. In this case, I got 10 millimeter flooring with a 2 millimeter underlay. So I mean, I might have 2 millimeters a little bit higher, but at the end of the day, a couple millimeters isn't gonna do a whole lot. So you can run with that. The grout will fill it in to a point where it's fairly decent. I mean, if you can get it bang on perfect, great. If you're a millimeter up or down, it ain't gonna make that much difference. So let's get the floor in and go from there. So I'm gonna start laying the floor down, and at this point, there's gonna be eventually we're gonna put a gap here, right? So we can put the grout in, but don't bother trying to put that in until you get at least like 5 or 6 layers of flooring down, and then we can weasel it around a little bit and make that gap. So again, just to recap, we're gonna leave a bit of a space here between the underlay and the concrete and the tile. We're gonna put a bit of adhesive right here, and then we're gonna lock it down eventually. But again, don't do it until you got six or 7 rows down, and I'll get to that shortly. All right, for the sake of the video, I'm just gonna show you how I'm cutting this. I actually have a chop saw, and I got a 90 or a 45 degree tile right here, right? Rather than cutting with the chop saw, I don't trust my chop saw to cut a straight line. I'm actually gonna mark this off, and I'm gonna use one of these saws and a really good ultra finish blade on it. And what that's gonna do is gonna make sure that line's really straight, and the cut's gonna be really nice to the point where there's not gonna be any splinters on the wood. So I gotta do that on this side, and I gotta do it on this side. So if you're gonna do it this way, measure the hell out of this. At this point, I put a little bit of spacer right here, 3/8 spacer, just so I can get a good accurate measurement of where I have to do my 45. So that's what I'm doing. Whether you do that or not, it's up to you, but thought I would mention it. So I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to see this, but this is the cut against the tile. Came out really well, no fringed edges or anything like that. So now I just gotta do it on the other side. Leave a bit of a gap like this, around 3/8 of an inch, and then that'll be perfect for the grout. All right, so I got a bunch of layers in. I got all my cuts to be around 3/8 of an inch between the tile and the floor. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull this out and then put a bead of adhesive, and then push it back onto the adhesive, and then put some weights on it. I'm using Loctite PL Premium 3 times. Love this stuff, been using it for years. Never failed me. All right, pulled the floor back. enough to give me some room to work with. Now it's time to slide the floor back into the final position that you want it, which is gonna be, well, in my case, 3/8 gap all around each edge. Floor is back in position. Stack some weights on it to keep that edge right on the adhesive, and then let it sit overnight and go have yourself beer. I'm tired. Anyways, long story short, the adhesives, really the intent of the adhesive is to try to limit the movement on the edge, which is typically an up and down movement because we got foam here, right? So foam's got a bit of give on it. Once you put the grout in, you know, if it starts moving around, the grout's gonna kind of crack. So you wanna do everything you can to try to limit the amount of movement with the grout. So that's what the intent of that is. So anyways, off to the next step. All right, all flooring is in. Next step, let's tape up these edges. So the reason why I'm taping the edges is because once you put the grout on and then you try to wash it off, the grout's gonna leave a film of soot essentially. So I'm trying to protect the edge as much as possible so when I'm wiping it off, that soot doesn't get on the wood and cause staining. It's down, I doubled it up just to give me a little bit of breathing room. And let's put some grout in. Grout time. I just bought this pre-mixed stuff from Home Depot. I tried to match the grout color to the existing stuff, but it's close, but it's not exactly. So you can try using the caulking, but I don't recommend it. I like this, the actual grout with the sand in it. So let's get started. All right, you're gonna need a sponge and a bucket of water. And I'm using this little thing as well, but you can get it in with your fingers if need be. Try to get it in there as deep as possible. All right, after you get like, I don't know, the way I do it is I'll get like 2 feet done, and then I'll take the sponge, dip it in some water, rinse it off, and try to clean some of this up. And again, try not to go onto the hardwood itself because it'll leave stains. And just keep going. All right, so I'm I guess halfway done at this point. I'm gonna start taking the tape off though. The tape, you don't really need to leave the tape on. The only reason for the tape is just to kind of protect it. Once you've wiped it, the tape is absolutely useless. So there we go, start peeling it back. I just wanna make sure there's no weird areas that I can fix up before it's all dry. So like right there. Depending on how anal you wanna get on this. And that's it. All right, looking good, looking good. This is what it looks like. Got a bit of an edge here. Let me just come off. Yeah, that's it. Keep going around the room, let it dry, and you're done. And you got a nice clean look. Alrighty, there you have it. Another project done. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'm off to the next project, so follow along. Cheers.